What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here, back with another episode from the Human Bot Project series. Today, we are grinding Thresh Socket 1,000 times with my item find Barb. We have very high percent magic find, really increasing the odds of getting that GG drop. And believe it or not, I got one perfect, very rare, unique item from this Human Bot Project series. So guys, I really do hope you enjoy this video. Let's jump in.
You're too late.
Alright guys, so before we actually recap the loot, there's just three main points that I want to cover. They're essentially frequently asked questions that I often get in the comment section of these Human Bot Project series videos. And first up is, how much percent magic find did I have on my item find Barb? And the answer to that is 600% MF. I could have stacked a little bit more, but I chose to add a little bit of extra survivability because, believe it or not, with amplified damage, Thresh Socket can hit you pretty hard, especially when you are berserking him and you have 0 defense. So I traded a little bit of extra MF for some extra survivability, but I did have just over 600, which I do feel like is a lot because of how diminishing returns does impact your overall total percent magic find. The second point that I want to cover is the player's difficulty setting that I was farming Thresh Socket on. Now I have covered this in a previous video, the link for it is in the description below if you want to check it out. I basically explain the player's difficulty and how it interacts with area levels and super uniques and bosses for drop rates. So I do encourage you guys to check out that video if you want to refresh your information. But the short and sweet simple answer is, regardless of the player's difficulty, whether it's 1, 3, 5, or 7, a super unique boss, which Thresh Socket falls under that category, he will always drop 2 items no matter what. So upping the player's count just makes him harder to kill and a little bit more experience, but in terms of drop percentage, there's no change. And the whole premise of the Human Bot Project series is trying to see the loot over the course of thousands of runs. So for me, I don't think it made sense to farm him on anything other than player's difficulty 1. The third and final point that I want to touch on is, why did I farm the hipster boss Thresh Socket for a Human Bot Project series? And that is because, believe it or not, he is capable of dropping some very rare uniques. He has a monster level of 84 and he is capable of dropping TC 87 items. So the monster level of 84 has to match the quality level of a specific treasure class item in order for it to roll set or unique. Now I do have a previously made video, the link for that is in the description below, which I cover and explain how that is relevant to level 85 areas, and the same thing applies to super unique bosses. So do encourage you guys to check out that video if you want to refresh your information if you're not familiar about how it works. But the simple answer is that Thresh Socket is capable of dropping very rare uniques like Death's Fathom, D-Web, Wind Force, and Griffins with the exact same drop odds as Pindle. So he's essentially a slightly worse Pindle, but he's really nice for variety because, hey, let's face it, it can be boring doing like 10,000 Pindle runs. So if you guys want to switch things up and you're on single player, I do highly encourage you guys to farm Thresh Socket because he can drop some good items if you're lucky. But that basically covers everything that I want to talk about. So now let's recap the loot from this 1,000 run project. The first noteworthy drop from Thresh Socket comes from a corpse loot with find item on run 22. It's a unique pair of Van Braces, which are soul drainers. They rolled 7% mana leech and 4% life leech. A somewhat interesting item, but I just have trouble finding a real use for it though, because I prefer to use Drax gloves if I need life tap, or laying of hands if I want the extra ED to demons and fire res. Followed by an interesting but trollish drop on run 50. Thresh Socket drops a unique Death Shroud, which is Ormus Robes. Unfortunately, it rolled +3 to warmth. The warmth skill goes towards completing my collection of every type of Ormus Robe, but I would much prefer a 3 to Blizzard or 3 to Fireball. A nice little rune drop on run 100. A Gull rune. Not quite what you would consider a high rune in Diablo 2, but I always look at these runes as half a Vex to make the rune word Heart of the Oak. I knocked 2 more items off of my Ethereal Grail list on Thresh Socket run number 128 and 153. First, an Ethereal Warlord's Trust, followed by an Ethereal class-specific Arctic's Claws. An almost GG melee Grand Charm drops 20 runs later. It rolled 9 to max damage and 59 to attack rating. Something in the realm of an additional 35 to 40 life would have made this GC very valuable. 2 more Assassin Claws from Thresh Socket on run 221 and 229. First, a decent rolled pair of unique Feral Claws, which are fired lizards. 3 to martial arts skills, but only 1 to the remaining fire skills. It's not a very useful class unique anyways. Followed by what could have been a really nice pair of rare Sin Claws. These rolled 2 to assassin skills and the skill Lightning Sentry with IAS, but they ultimately needed more increased attack speed and another point into Lightning Sentry to be considered GG. Arguably the best drop from this 1000 run project is looted from Thresh Socket on run 248, about a quarter of the way through this human bot episode. It's a unique Hydra Bow, which is Wind Force. The cherry on top is that it rolled perfect with 8% mana leech. The only stat that varies on Wind Force is the mana stolen per hit, but a perfect Wind Force from the hipster boss Thresh Socket is pretty epic in my opinion. I'm a big Fury Druid fan, and one of my favorite shapeshifting weapons drops 38 runs later. It's a unique quarterstaff, which is Rib Cracker. It rolled 7% off of perfect enhanced damage, a great candidate for a Ruby Jewel of Fervor. This weapon has everything that a Fury Druid needs: FHR, massive damage when it's upped, dexterity, and a huge amount of crushing blow. Another Eth Grail item from Thresh on run number 312. It's an Ethereal Din Slayer. You guys think this deserves a Zod rune? I'm being sarcastic if you can't tell, but it's still a cool item that goes towards completing that Eth Grail. My Barbarian gets level 92 from Thresh Socket about halfway through this project. This Barb has only been leveled through players 1 magic finding, so getting level 2 is kind of a cool milestone for him. Nothing exciting drops over the next 300 or so Thresh Socket runs, so I did go through a bit of a dry spell, but he drops me a Malrune on run 720. A nice little mid rune. I always pick up Malrunes and save them for cubing up to Ist. Diablo 2 RNG can be absolutely crazy sometimes, and Thresh run number 798 and 814 really demonstrates that. Within 16 runs, Thresh Socket drops 2 unique legendary mallets. Both of these items had the potential to roll Schaefer's Hammer and knock an item off my Holy Grail list for me, but they both frickin' rolled Stone Crusher, the ultimate troll from the hipster super unique Thresh Socket. 2 nice shields off of Thresh Socket over the next 50 runs. A Medusa's Gaze on run 827, an item that I really want to find a unique use for, something along the lines of some elemental damage dealing build that purposely takes hits to proc lower resistance, followed by a Lidless Wall on run 852. A disappointing drop from Thresh Socket 44 runs later. It's a unique Scourge, but unfortunately due to Thresh Socket's monster level restrictions, it can only roll Horizon's Tornado, which is an item that I already have on my Holy Grail. Another troll drop off of Thresh Socket on run number 907. Thresh drops a unique Spired Helm, but unfortunately it rolled Veil of Steel. This item has a 50-50 shot of rolling Nightwings, and the hunt for a perfect 15% cold damage Nightwings continues. The ultimate troll drop on run number 995. The super unique boss Thresh Socket drops unique leather armor, which is Blink Bats. This is a massive waste of RNG. While Blink Bats might not be very valuable, the odds of this item dropping in Hell difficulty off of Thresh Socket is about 3 times as rare as Death's Fathom or Griffins. What a horrible drop to finish off this 1000 run project. Well guys, there you have it. That was the results from 1000 Thresh Socket runs with my item Find Barbarian, and we got an 8% mana life leech, Wind Force, so really that was worth it for all 1000 runs. I'm going to actually use this bow probably for a unique Frost Maiden or Ice Arrow Boazon in the future. So guys, look forward to that build video. It will be coming down the pipeline. But if you could throw a like on this video, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my Diablo 2 channel. Post new weekly content and stream on a consistent basis, so there's always new content to look forward to from this channel, and your support with a subscription would mean a lot. Other than that guys, I hope you guys have a fan-frickin-tastic day, and I'll see you on my next Diablo 2 video or live stream. Peace out.